All right, so let me talk a little about Turnitin. Turnitin is currently being used by 30 million people across the globe in about 140 countries, right? So it is hugely popular, and it also boasts of having published as well as non-published manuscripts in its database or repository, so that it could turn in uh, all the published documents for comparison with the publication currently made. So the question which comes in here is, how do we interpret the Turnitin reports? So I'll be taking some questions which are here. The first one is, the originality report is not a plagiarism report. This is mostly asked by people across, that the plagiarism, the originality report which is generated by Turnitin, is it a plagiarism report? No. It has to be interpreted well before it becomes a plagiarism report. So for example, if one is submitting an article to a journal, then the originality report provided by Turnitin through Crossref, which is again a collaborative platform with Turnitin. It also gives the similarity scores. Okay, so again there is a difference between similarity and plagiarism. For similarity, we can talk about now. The next thing which we say is what percentages are safe. So in that case, we'll be talking about similarity. Okay, so originality report has to be governed, constructively assessed by the editor of a journal, or the educator, or the academic, or the teacher in his or her given course, because the report needs to be understood in a qualified manner. Now, uh, so what percentages are safe? So this is not about plagiarism at all. It's about similarity. So what percentages are safe? When I say about the plagiarism, 0% plagiarism is allowed. Whenever people ask this question, how much of plagiarism is allowed? No amount of plagiarism is allowed. Absolutely. Now the question comes, what percentages are safe? So here we talk about similarity. Similarity is can be intentional, can be unintentional, and it stems from similar words or phrases which can be found in the given context, given publication, with prior publications which have been there in the Turnitin database or repository. So how much percentage is safe? Generally, we go around 10 to 15% maximum, where we can say that the similarity is more or less viable, can be taken across. But anything more than 15, 20, 25% is something which comes under the bracket of plagiarism. Again, I would like you to understand that there can be instances when a 25% similarity does not showcase a serious case of plagiarism. So that needs to be properly assessed here. It can also happen that I'll be showing it through the actual reports of Turnitin, so you'll understand it better. So in a block, if in a block the total percentage of similarity is say 10% or a 15%, then it's a problem area. Even if only that particular block or paragraph has been copied, that should not be the case altogether. So I'll be showing this to you in next video. Uh, Next is quotation and referencing. So as you can see in the filters and setting of Turnitin, as I'm putting it across, uh, you have an option of excluding quotes. Quotes will be excluded then. Excluding bibliography, then the bibliography or the references or work site will be excluded from similarity check. Now the next one is important, that exclude matches that are less than, here you can say you can use 5 words, 7 words, or 10 words, depending on what the institutional feedback or guideline is there. So here, if we talk about exclude matches that are less than 5 words, then it's a more stringent measure. It means that 5 words that that are together and have been published before need not to be similar in my present case. Okay, so anything which has been published already, that if it has 5 similar words that is again found in my text, then that can be a problem, and Turnitin will show that this is a problem area which needs to be resolved. Next is paraphrasing. If proper paraphrasing or poor paraphrasing has been done, that means one is not able to actually write down in one's own words, then it may tantamount to higher amount of similarity report in the originality report. Now next is common phrases and words. Now this is very important, as I already talked in the last presentation, that if something is a common knowledge or a universal truth, that need not be cited, quoted, or for example attributed, because it's a common knowledge. But it is also understood, should be understood here, that Turnitin is a tool which takes similar words or phrases which have been found before in published previous published works. So it will take all those words which are in common. So even if it's a common word or common phrase or universal truth or fact, it will be shown as similar. So here comes the role of an editor or educator who is actually looking into or assessing the report to conclude that these things which have been written are commonly used phrases, and there need not be any plagiarism in that case. The next thing, which is again very important and is a problem area that needs to be discussed, is researchers text recycling. Text recycling is about self-plagiarism of one's own larger or bigger document and putting it into smaller research articles. So if one puts this one's own data, for example a thesis or dissertation in Turnitin, then that is saved in the databases of Turnitin. So if the researcher again wants to submit the work to a different journal, then there will be a huge similarity in the thing which has been submitted in the database of the institution of Turnitin and the thing which the author is going to publish. So here, um, data redundancy is caught. Also, salami slicing is caught. So definitely the researchers need to be very careful when they are recycling the text. It is also important, therefore, to acknowledge uh, everything in the publications. If it comes from a bigger or larger study and you're converting it into smaller studies, then it's important to give acknowledgement of that. The editor of the journal should know about it, and it is also important that in somewhere or the other, the researcher should cite the original work and explain that this is actually the reproduction maybe, or written in a different way, but it has been taken from the larger text or a bigger study which has been conducted in the past. So next I'll be showing to you the actual Turnitin report.